gate, a small rain shower had come over. Louise was waiting with a freight special which was being loaded with oil drums, vegetables, and other cargo materials. Peter Sam had been waiting with his train for the Cedric flyer to arrive. Soon enough, Flying Scotsman arrived in Tornado, double-heading the train with their last passengers, running a few minutes late due to some faulty signals and some troublesome trespassers. Louise noticed the famous A3 and the A1. It was her first time seeing them in person, even though she had heard of them from TV and social media.
So you're the famous engine I've heard so much about. It's a pleasure to meet you.
The pleasure's all mine, madam. This is indeed an unexpected meeting, I have to say, even for a tornado.
The only thing that's ruined this is this bloody rain.
Oh, my sincere apologies there. Tornado is not quite fond of the rain. She prefers warmer skies and sunny weather, although we do need a major cool down after all that intense heat that we've had all summer this year.
It might not be bad, but it's much worse over on the mainland where the bigger rain showers are.
We've had worse. There was that one time when the Sky-Rolling Railway suffered a major washout during the winter in 1961. Back when around the time before I had my new funnel.
So, how are you finding your visit on Silver, I may ask?
It's been great. We'll tell the others back in the States when we get home. This railway is full of wonder and joy with so many people, especially for those from the UK who really admire what America's steam engines are like when compared to theirs. However, we mentioned about the ghost story of the Clutchfield curse, which we promised not to, but I did by accident when the engines were asking about anything supernatural on our railroads.
The Clinchfield curse?
What's that about? None of us Navigating Gingers have ever heard it before.
Flying Scotsman decided to tell Peter Sam about it since Louise felt too reluctant. He told them that he learned about the story during his USA tour after he had his first sighting of 311's ghost while on a visit on the Pitchfield. But then he brought up another memory that soon came back to him.
I don't know how I'm able to remember this, but by golly I do. It was the day before Sir William McAlpine rescued me to return me back home to the UK in 1973. I was in storage at a US Army place to be kept away from unpaid creditors. At that time I was heartbroken after Alan Pegler left me after he was forced to file bankruptcy. My 10 years of being with him was over. I was in a state of fear, for I felt I would never return home. While I was there, alone and mostly upset, I heard 311's whistle. And before I knew it, she was right there in front of me. At that point, I just wanted it to be over and meet my end this way, rather than remaining in America or being broken up for scrap. But 311 didn't do so, refusing to claim me as a victim, still seeing I was not a threat. She got closer to me, her buffers almost touching mine. She told me that I must leave and never return to America, and if I was, which is not likely to now, she would not resist in taking me. Then, while still looking at me coldly and menacingly, she disappeared, leaving a strong but strange and nasty smell in her wake, which was much dirtier than diesel oil itself. It turned out to be a horrible stench of oil and smoke. The following day, I left and headed for Oakland, where I would make my triumphant return to the UK. That was my last encounter with the 311. Had she taken me, I would not be here today to talk about it. As I said to Emily and James yesterday, I never told anyone about it until just recently. And I still deeply regret it that I didn't tell Alan Pegler, Sir William McAlpine, or Dr. Tony Marston about it. Even now, to this very day, it still haunts me that I can still smell that dreadful stench 311 left behind.
Gospel. At least you didn't end up like Clinchfield 3613.
Clinchfield who?
Who's 3613?
Y'all don't know who 3613 was? Well, he was an SD 45-2 diesel serving the Clinchfield before being passed down to CSW to handle the heavy freight duties. I didn't know him that well, but for those who did, they told me he kept himself to himself and wasn't much of a talker. But one thing was for sure, 3613 was a hard worker and very useful, and he didn't care if steam or diesels were better, and whatever task was given, he would do it. Sadly, he was one of the early victims of the Clinchfield curse.
How did that happen?
The year was October 31st, 1960. CSW was still running at the time before it was taken over by CSX Transportation in the 1980s. Former Clinchfield 3613 departed with a freight train from the large marshalling yards at Tidewater during a heavy thunderstorm at 8 o'clock p.m. The conditions that night were similar to that of when 311 made her fatal run 3 years before, but unlike that night, no flash floods occurred. 3613 traveled along the line making good progress, but according to the story, he stopped halfway across the bridge, hearing the sound of what sounded like a steam engine wailing out in the distance. His crew could hear it too. Then the engine appeared before them, and the worst fears were realized. It was the ghost of Clinchfield 311. Overwhelmed by fear, 3613 got caught in her grasp and suddenly vanished with no trace of his or his crew's existence. Michael, one of the Challenger class engines from the Union Pacific, went out to search for him. When he got to the last known position of 3613, nothing was there. But what was there was an awful stench of oil and smoke. And then he left to report the situation. 311's ghost had appeared.
Get out of here. Leave. Before I send you to hell.
Caught with the fear of being taken, Michael retreated and later told me everything and what had caused the mysterious loss of 3613. It was there that I became aware of the Clinchfield curse.
Would that ghost be able to take us narrow gauge engines?
I don't think she would want anything to do with you narrow gauge engines. Besides, you're too small to fall victim to her curse, and so you're basically no threat.
Just to even think of 311 and a ghost is now making me feel very uncomfortable. Please, Spottsman, let's go ahead to our sheds. I can't bear it any longer.
Okay, just calm down, Tornado. I'm here for you so that nothing will happen. Even if the ghost engine was to appear, she'll quickly see that you do not have the same number as hers, nor will you become a victim and join the list of those she's taken over the years.
Tornado was still shaking in fear, but she soon calmed down. After another few minutes of talking, the guard at Peter Sam's train blew his whistle, and Peter Sam departed. Still in thought about the subject of 311,